90% of our revenue comes organic.
Jordan Platten.
The most money I possibly could with the smallest audience possible, that's what I would do. The larger the audience you have.
Out of sight, out of mind, on my way.
How have you seen the industry shift?
I don't think there's any merit in jumping and riding on trends. I think it's a very short-term win.
It's an interesting thing, right?
There's like a section of like men that will just buy anything. But if your goal is, I just want to get into business to make some money, I just want an easy route, and I want a path of least resistance, don't even entertain B2C.
I don't think they realize how hard it actually is. Welcome to the Natural Born Leader podcast. Today, I have a special guest, Jordan. You guys probably know him, but I will still let you introduce yourself to the people.
Cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. First of all, in sunny Cape Town.
It's
nice place to be doing this.
Yeah.
Can't complain. Look at that view. Incredible. Some people say, if you don't know me, my name is Jordan Platten. I'm an agency owner first and foremost, and also an educator. Started about 5 years ago, probably 6 actually now. Launched a YouTube channel. Been running that. Just hit 300k subs yesterday.
Crazy.
Which is cool. And yeah, I'm sure we'll unravel some shit as we talk today.
1,000%. I think for me, when I got started a few years ago, like 3 years ago, you were one of, and we were talking about this yesterday, that a few years ago, there were only like a few people actually doing education, also running a few agencies.
Yeah.
But now there is a million of people doing the same thing.
Yeah.
How has that kind of like, how have you seen grow? Because, you're really big in the education space. You also have been running your agency and you're still running it. How have you seen the industry shift?
And I think it's always been really important to me to run my agency whilst running the education business. More at this moment, it's more out of principle than anything else. In fact, the agency is like a cash flow business. It's great for, I told you yesterday, we use it as we work with e-commerce brands. So we incubate e-commerce brands through the agency itself now by leveraging the team that we've got. And so I think it's important for me to continue running the agency in that regard. And you're right, lots of people now have flooded the market that don't own agencies. And many people I would guess that never even did own agencies that claim they did own agencies in the past. And so I pride myself on being like an exception to that rule. But the industry has changed so much. I think like it used to be the case that there was, at least when I first started, there was like 3 people educating on starting agencies. And I think that's got pros and it's got cons. It's great that there's now this huge variety of content out there and this huge variety of different angles that you can go down. But it also creates this decision fatigue from like the eyes of the consumer or people that want to get into the industry because I'll start a paid ads agency and then, that's hard. Let me move into SEO. Let me do UGC and just jump into, let me do lead generation, whatever that may be. And the only thing that has stayed consistent throughout all that time is that it's still fucking hard to build a successful agency,
Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to know is like, how did you get started in the agency space?
So I was in sales. So zoom back, I got kicked out of university. I was studying architecture. I was running like a nightclub events business. And I just wasn't attending. And so I was just going out all the time. And then I jumped into sales, got myself in loads of debt. And I thought, how do I pay this off quickly? So 3 years in sales, making relatively decent money at like 21, but like very unfilled. And so then I was like looking at online business. And it was this at the time of like Ty Lopez was like promoting SMMA and ramming that down people's throat. And I was there Here in My Garage ad that some people may have seen. And for me, that was a logical decision. Amazon FBA and like e-commerce and everything, there was a friction point because I had no experience in that whatsoever. But an agency is just a sales business. So it just made sense for me to jump into that. It was logical. So I just reached out to, whilst I was working full time, every company in my local area, classic lead gen, classic restaurants, gyms, dentists, chiropractors, like all the OG niches. And then within 2 weeks, signed up my first 2 clients. I said to myself, if you can just replace your income, your outgoing, so not my income, but just my outgoing. So if I had enough to live, but not enough to thrive, then I would leave. And so I quit. 3 months later, hit 10K. 6 months later, it was about 30K, and then merged agencies, and the rest has been history.
And so you started in lead gen, but when did you make the switch to e-com?
So I was lead gen for like the first, I would say, 8 clients. And then we got an e-com client, which just so happened to be like a local, because like, I feel like original e-com was like the local brick and mortar companies that like realized online was the thing, and then they transitioned. So they've got like a physical store, but then they start selling online as well. So it was And I would say like within the first year, definitely. And it was a company, they sell like bamboo toothbrushes and so on. And like, it was like almost like a drop shipping-esque store, but it was attached to a homeware store.
Yeah.
So I jumped into that and I was like, wow, the ROAS and everything, it was so much easier back then to get like instant return on investment for e-com. So it just made so much sense. And there was nowhere near as much saturation as you see now with agencies and e-com. So it was so much easier to sign up the clients as well, get revenue deals, etc. And so we were just, I remember like my third e-com client, it was a home, like a garden furniture company. And we got 20 ROAS for them in like month 3. And that was just like, how do you do that? You know, the case study was incredible. And so then we just pivoted the whole thing. Okay. But obviously now it's completely different. Have you ever been in e-com?
I've tried starting a few offers in e-com, right? But I've never really been a big, I've tried starting my own dropshipping store. I did make a few sales, but I didn't know enough Facebook ad to be able to be like, okay, I didn't know what I was doing. So I stopped. I felt like I was just gambling money and I didn't feel confident. So I stopped. But when I started the appointment setting agency, we were doing a lot of the appointment setting for e-commerce agencies. Yeah. And since we had figured out how to book appointments and get clients for them, I was like, well, why don't I just start an e-commerce agency? Yeah. Then I found a partner, a guy who was really good at media buying, but it ended up not leading anywhere because I felt like when you're doing this and you also want to add to this, it never kind of like adds to anything.
Yeah, fine.
So it was hard to kind of like run these two businesses. So I was like, it's a distraction.
Yeah, fine. And then you transitioned into...
I just scaled the appointment setting.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. That's it. Which is what every agency needs, like fundamentally. Yeah.
Appointment setting is an interesting thing because for all service businesses, that's like the core fundamental problem that if you can solve, you can kind of like scale any offer. Yeah. Right.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. It's always been like, it's funny how like lead generation, sorry guys, if you can hear there's some building works going behind there. We'll try and sort it out in post, I'm sure. We have to do what we've got to do, right? The show never stops. So I feel like with client acquisition and appointment setting over the years, like it's changed so much from like originally. Like originally it was, you would cold call, you'd send emails, you would DM. And like emails and DMs are still a big thing. And like even actually cold calls has come full circle in the last like 12 months. Maybe not with like, I'm yet to see like a large scale agency hit, just really smash cold calls. I'd love to see, I mean, you've probably seen it with your client base. So I work normally with kind of B2C beginner agencies and they're smashing local cold calling. Have you seen that actually at scale?
So for me, I hate cold calling. I've tried because I've had jobs before where I would cold call. And for me, it's like, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So I don't even try to work with anyone who does that because I'm like, hey man, like life is short. You shouldn't be doing that much hard work, you know?
I think for the same reason you have to, because it's like this thing that like no one fucking wants to do. And when you do it, it makes you face this level of mental resilience that like not many people have to encounter in their life. So you have to eat shit every single day for like 2 hours a day and get rejected. Because like most people have never been rejected outside of when they got dumped in high school. Yeah. So like when they first get on cold calls, it's like this massive slap in the face of resilience. And so like, at least for me working with like new starters, I think it's so important for their like mental growth, because if they can't handle the rejection on cold calls, or if they can't handle just speaking to people on cold calls, when they jump on their first meeting and try to sell, they're like stuttering, they're stammering, they've got no chance. So if you can't sit on like a 2-minute cold call, you know what I mean? So that's, I think,
to build up almost like
build up that resilience, you know, but you're probably working with people that have already got that resilience, you know, so they've already eaten shit, you know?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, no. But you know, we're seeing a trend, you know, we were talking about this yesterday where, a lot of, and this is for me, like kind of like my thesis is that the more people go to automations, the more people try to do, you know, videos and try to sell people just through systems and online funnels. I feel like the more the human connection over the phone is actually working really better because, you know, you're doing this, but the, you know, outbound dials or to leads, everyone is doing it. I've yet to see anyone who's doing like millions of dollars per month who's either doing it through DM setting or cold email or any cold calling. It's all dialing to the people.
Yeah, those warm dials are so important, I think. Yeah, I think we're doing like 600 to 800 dials a day right now.
Crazy. How big? So how many reps do you have doing that?
we literally took on two new setters last week. I would say we have 4 setters on the phones, and it's like 200 to 250 dials per day average per setter.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it varies, but it also depends on time zones and everything. Because when you have like the auto dialer set up, it's like it's if it's not the right time zone, and it will stop, and you have to. There's a lot of stuff and a lot of phone. I mean, you know, with the phone verification and everything. So yeah, 4 I would say, and then we have like another 5 on DMs. We have so much more on DMs because, like, I don't know about you, but like I'd see DM conversion rate is so low, and then show up rate from DMs is so low. It can comparably to like warm dials. Yeah. At least for us.
We're at first it was the dialing was, so it depends on how you do the dial, right? So we've noticed that when you do the dial and you're actually just kind of like trying to set them instead of actually qualify them and actually create desire for the next call, then the show up rate is pretty shitty, right? And the other thing, I don't know if you have this, but for us, because, you know, I've only, let's say, had only one closer for the last like 8 months. So we're booking them too far out in the future, and that would mess up the show up rate.
Yeah, fine.
But normally, we've started just actually having almost like the discovery on the dial.
Yeah.
And then that is getting people way more excited to actually show up on the call, because we're kind of like making it hard for them to go through the next steps, and only those who go through, they're actually more almost like spend time with us, so it's easier to spend more time with us.
Yeah, makes sense. We do like almost like a mini triage, which I suppose is a discovery, and then jump onto the call. Yeah.
So now for we're talking about, for those, maybe you can talk a little bit about more so on the education side, because I think that's something that would be interesting. Because I think a lot of the people, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's now a new movement of agencies who are now realizing that, there's a lot of creators out there who maybe have a big audience, but who don't necessarily know how to monetize that audience or actually scale it, right? So I do think that there is a nice movement and potential in becoming like a growth agency who can actually come in and partner with these creators and scale them. So maybe you want to talk about how your business, because you do have a big audience and you do monetize it well. I want to talk about what you've been able to do with just like an organic audience and just. I mean,
I said this to you yesterday, but we still to this day are like 90% organic. So like 90% of our revenue comes organic, and that's great. And we've done paid ads, but like the cost per acquisition and the price point just doesn't make sense for us at the moment. We have other kind of higher ticket things that we're working on, but I think that I agree with you. There's a massive opportunity for monetization of audiences, and I think that I truly believe that growing a personal brand and building a big brand and getting a lot of impact and impressions is that's the future. I think ads will get more and more saturated as time goes on, and as more and more people jump into this industry, especially in the education space. But equally, it's so much easier said than done. Like it's not easy to build an audience. Like it's taken every single Wednesday of my life for the last 6 years has been dedicated to recording YouTube content. And I've always said that I'm a business owner that owns a YouTube channel, not a YouTuber that has a business. And there's a fundamental difference. And a lot of people are not that way around. I'm always creating content, and I always want to impact and create as much value as I can. But I'm still there thinking, fuck, I've got to do this. I've got to hire these team. I've got to build systems out. I've got to make sure that everyone's paid. You've got so many other plates that you're spinning that a content creator doesn't anticipate. And I think if you're full-time, I mean, there's two sides to it. If you're a business owner right now that wants to start a personal brand, you can't underestimate how much time that's going to take. It's going to take so much more, and you can't half-ass it either. I think we're seeing a bit of a movement where raw content is doing really well right now. So like getting rid of the edits, getting rid of the animations, and just keeping it as like raw as possible. That's cool. Will it last for long? Maybe not, because we keep coming around in circles. But then you got on the flip side to that, these larger creators who are doing this more full time, and then maybe an agency comes along and sells them the opportunity of starting an education business. That's great in theory. But if that creator is a full-time creator, and as we know, like if you're going all in on content, that's a full-time job. You don't underestimate how that's going to take you to actually build that business, to build the program and actually make sure it works, and then split test it, and then make sure you got the good right team for it. You got the right coaches behind it. Like whatever way you look at it, it's hard. So I think I agree with you. There's this big opportunity and there's a big movement at the moment, but I think people are very misinformed in thinking that this is going to be some simple path. Like, but this is just logical. Whereas,
I was saying, I don't want to necessarily drop names, but I was looking at this other person who kind of like is pushing this movement, but all he's doing really is just helping people become just lead gen and advertising agencies for these creators. But most creators, so I had this guy who actually partners with experts and educators, and they have like a really great fulfillment team. They'll literally go have like departments that take care of finance. They build the product, the offers, then they do the advertising, then they build the sales teams. But they have a full blown team, right? But a lot of the people, and this is why it's super important to understand that you actually have to be good, not just good as an advertiser, because advertising does not necessarily, if you're just no advertising, you will not necessarily scale up and sustain a business, because all you think is that the problem or the way you solve it is just throwing more money on ads or putting more people getting attention. But that doesn't necessarily, so you need to understand the whole business from top to bottom. But what this guy said is that there's also another bottleneck with creators because their mindset is they care more about the subscriber, the follower, and they're always optimizing for that. So like to shift their mindset around, hey, followers don't mean shit. It's also how much money how much is each subscriber worth to you?
Yeah.
Right? So to actually, most people want to go partner with creators. One of the advice I would give them, find someone who's actually business minded and who actually wants to make money.
Yeah.
Not wants to become the most famous person.
100%. Yeah. Like if I could make, you have to be careful what you say. If I could make the most money I possibly could with the smallest audience possible, that's what I would do. The larger the audience you have, the more pressure there is, the more the difficulty that comes with that, the more, and I appreciate every single person that subscribes to my channel, right? But like, I would rather have 10,000 people that are super high quality, that are really interested and invested in everything, that actually take action on everything I put out. Like, I don't put out content for entertainment. And like, it actually pisses me off when people watch my videos and don't do anything with it. Because I'm like, what are you actually, like, what's happening right now? Like, I'm putting out actually valuable content that you can go in action. And just, there's a lot of people, I think I think the online business space has become an entertainment space in itself. And I think there's a lot of big creators in the space that are making it that.
Yeah,
you know?
It's becoming literally like a movie. It's like literally, it's like appealing to visually, but the content is.
Yeah, I mean, we have Jake Pauls and Logan Pauls of online business, of make money online, you know? And so when you're then creating content because your genuine motive is, okay, I want to just impact as many people as possible through my education company or through whatever it is I'm pushing and my agenda in that moment in time. It can be very frustrating as a creator. And so I think that in itself is a completely different mentality to, like you said, like a creator would have when they just want to build a bigger audience, or they just want to get more subscribers, they just want to be more famous. I couldn't give a fuck about fame. Like, I don't give a fuck about fame. I don't want to be famous. Like I can't wait till the day that eventually I'm sorry to say this, but I can't wait for the day that I one day just turn off the YouTube channel, live on a fucking island somewhere and just chill, go hike some mountains, go, and just live a secluded lifestyle and get off social media. Now, I'm not planning on doing that in the next 10, 15 years, but that is going to happen at some point, I'm not there for the fame. And so I think there's a lot of people that are getting into it for that reason. And in the same sense, we have a lot of people in the business space that just overinflate their figures, that are fueled by their own ego and celebrate way too early, don't delay gratification, and that in themselves just limits their success too. So
1,000%. Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's like you can't go to any extreme. It's like everything, if you just want to be a creator or you want to go full blown business owner, then it also like it's almost, you got to find that sweet spot because, I've been seeing a lot of, because, we work with a few clients who, for me, what I'm doing, and maybe you can talk about the power of YouTube, but I'm getting every client to create a YouTube channel for whatever vertical they're going after. Because I've seen the level, because for me, the mindset is build an audience that you can serve with a high ticket service business, right? And I've seen if you merge YouTube with a high ticket, really big solving problems, it's like, it becomes so easy to actually sell and actually build up a client pool. Like even more, you might not necessarily launch a YouTube video and get 20 clients the next month. It might take you a year, but we have this 16-year-old kid who's pushing AI infrastructure. So he's building AI dialers.
Cool.
16, got really deep into learning how to build it out, the agents and everything like that. I got, hey, built a YouTube channel, started, consuming my content and wanted to kind of like do the build and release thing. He started that YouTube channel, no ads, no nothing. At 16, he made, I think, like 20K a week.
That's sick.
So I'm like, how is that even possible?
And the lead gen's coming from the YouTube channel. So this is the thing. You don't even need like videos with loads of views to be getting like high quality lead. And it's actually so much easier than people believe to get videos ranked for certain keywords as well, especially those super niche keywords. Like if you've got a niche offering and it's like, I don't know, it's lead generation for lawyers, for example. Ranking for those keywords is nowhere near as difficult as people think. And if you get that, and the traffic, the amount of people that are searching for it is so few, but the people that are searching for it are so high quality because they're looking for that information that doesn't exist.
Yeah. So I'm seeing really big trend, so much so that I actually want to build almost like a YouTube department within our company.
Nice.
Because I feel like that, if we can do it for all the partners we have, oh my God. Yeah. When they do become like specific figures that niche goes to, then they can dominate everything. But you know, we're talking about kind of like what you were thinking. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but this move of it is eventually going in more the platform route and actually having educators and people who are experts come on and create content for your community.
Yeah, 100%. I won't dive too much into like exactly what we're planning on doing because like it's too sensitive right now. But I do think, and I think there is a movement in general of a lot of people in the education space moving towards kind of a platform route. But I think, like we said yesterday, you can go completely wrong with this. Like, and again, it's not going into something and underestimating it. I think that when you're trying to solve, and when in education, you either go down one or two routes. You either solve one specific problem for one specific person, or you try and help an entire market. My business is more optimized around helping an entire market. I like the idea of helping someone in the agency space with client acquisition, but also helping them with their service fulfillment, because everything's symbiotic. It all works together. Like it does. You can't have good client acquisition if your service is shit, because the business isn't going to thrive. You can't have a good service if your team aren't great and you understand good hiring process. And so I like getting granular with that stuff. I'm a systems guy. And so I like the idea of branching out and offering a multitude of different services. But I think it would be foolish for someone in that position to try and do it all themselves. Because then you half-ass it, or not even half-ass it, you just want to try and get it out in time. You try and build a program, you're looking at 6 to 12 months lead time to actually just produce something of any high standard. And so I think it's interesting to see that. And we've already seen quite a few different platforms on the market. Not in this space specifically yet, I don't think, in the agency space, but certainly in like broader
money market. And you know, I mean, you know, we're seeing this movement. You know, Hormozy investing in school. You want to share that you
I invested in a school like 3 years ago. So I think like 2.5, which is cool. So when I saw Hormozy invest in that, I was like,
they are like, oh,
come on, man.
But I don't know what move, but I do see. I mean, literally the name is school.com.
Yeah.
So it's like, it has the potential, the market cap for that. If it ends up really picking off, then, oh my God. Like if you think because you know, how big the market size is dictates how potential great the actual score can be on an actual scale, right? And
I think there's a lot of people that are like, especially now, because I know they launch as soon as Hormozy's got such, I never realized how much of like Hormozy's like fan base are like mega fans. Like I put out a video 2 weeks ago and I used Hormozy in the thumbnail. And it was like Hormozy, I didn't even like authorize a thumbnail. It was just like got put out. It's like not that deep. It was just a picture of Hormozy at $100 million leads. And it said Jordan Platten holding like $200 million leads. I swear I had like 15 comments from people like, don't you ever compare yourself to Alex Hormozy, like Alex Hormozy. I was like, what the fuck are these people? Like, what is like, who are these children? Like, he's like the Pied Piper of online business.
No, it's crazy.
But hats off to him, because he's an incredible guy, right? I don't mean that in any ill faith. But when he invested in school, the amount of people that I've now seen being like, school's the next big thing. And like, you have people that have like completely shifted business models. I saw some guy on YouTube, like this guy called Max Persson, who like, he was like creating like SMMA content or something, like agency content. And it was always affiliate stuff. I don't think this guy ever owned an agency. And he was like sold to go high level, and like he was creating all this, because then you got all the people that sold to high level because they're getting paid every month. They're getting paid like a fee to just like only promote that software. And then Hormozy invested in school. His whole business model went from, he renamed his school group from free SMMA group to like free school growth thing. And I'm like, how the fuck do people not see through this? But there's this massive movement of people now starting it, which I think is like, it's a positive thing because it brings people into the industry, but also it's a really negative thing. I do think strongly that is a big issue with the low barrier to entry in education, because you can create a course on anything and there is nothing fact checking that you actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's dangerous.
It's really risky. That's why for me, it's like, I haven't mentioned anything with school. I do, you were telling me about, I do think that Sam has built he understands, he's scaled, a great info business and consulting business. So I do understand that he understands how to build the thing so that it creates the best engagement. But for me, it's like, I don't like to ride trends, because whenever the whole market is talking about one thing, I'm like, come on, guys.
No,
there's no way that the masses actually know what they're talking about. Just that Hormozi says something, everybody's now say something. So I would love to own a share of school before I'm like, hey, there's money to be made here. If Hormozi pushes his brand behind it, which is probably why he also pushed it, because he probably sees the potential.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, he said it was the biggest investment he ever made. So there's no doubt that there's potential. But like we just said, I don't think there's any merit in jumping and riding on trends. I think it's a very short-term win. Yeah. And especially if you're looking to build like an audience, I don't think that your audience will respect that over time. And if they do respect that, then they're foolish and they clearly don't have independent minds. Yeah. And so I think like it's a very dangerous thing to do. Like I've literally been riding this SMMA keyword for 6 years. And I have seen so many new competitors like jump and like, first of all, SMMA, like IGPA, AIAA, all of that shit, it's all the fucking same thing. They're all the same businesses. The only difference is the service. Yeah. Like there's nothing different to every single student that you have in your program, apart from the service that they offer. Exactly. Like, and maybe the way they acquire clients, but they've still tried email, DMs, whatever, ads, VSLs. So they're all the same businesses fundamentally. And even education is it's like the same business infrastructure as an agency, apart from the delivery of the service is different, So we brand all these things and people jump on these waves. Yeah. But we're all fundamentally doing the same thing. I've been on SMMA now for 6 years. I hate that SMMA keyword. I hate everything that comes along with it. We used to put out videos, and I used to say to my content manager, I was like, why are we still using this keyword? Yeah. But it gets like 800,000 searches a month. Insane. And so like, why would I use the word agency, which gets in contrast like 80,000 a month versus the word SMMA, you know? But I've done that consistently for 6 years without jumping on any trend. And we still have consistently great revenues. We're consistently scaling every single month, and we've got a good reputation in the industry. And I just don't think you need to have to I think you get really fucking good at one thing and stick with that one thing and master that one thing. If you always jump in from one thing to another, I think you're unfulfilled, and then you never get to hit big revenue for long term and actually be able to maintain those figures as well. Yeah,
you compounds.
Churn of customers, everyone gets confused.
I saw this guy was in the English market, and I don't know what he did, but something turned, which is, by the way, like, props to you for actually staying in the game for that long, because anybody who's in the info space rarely ever scales or stays in the game for longer than 3 years, because in 2-3 years, you have way too many people bashing your name. So you're forced to get out, right? And the reason why I just thought of this is because I saw this guy who went from the English market, now he's in like another market, it's a different language. He's doing the same thing. I'm like, why are you switching markets? Like, just language, that's not going to necessarily help you if you didn't learn from your mistakes, right? But it's tricky. Like, always riding trends. Like, people don't understand. The thing is with this online space is that people take advantage of the fact that people are looking for that one thing that they can do that quick win. You know, it's almost like buying a lottery, right? Yeah. So now this shiny object thing that is always there and that the human is always chasing, there's always going to be people. There are always going to be buyers for that, right? So then you don't have to go and actually build something hard or stick to something when maybe the trends move, and then it might not necessarily be a bigger month. But so you're like, okay, what is the next thing that I can sell so that I can actually get again that new that novelty effect where I can get new eyeballs. Right?
So I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing out new shiny things, because I think like that's just almost like basic marketing. You know, even though it's like an e-commerce brand. No e-commerce brand just keeps a one product store forever. They're going to bring up other SKUs. They're going to bring out other product lines. So because it keeps people interested and engaged with the brand. So I don't think there's anything wrong at all with that. I think it's an intelligent thing to do. Is okay, you're revitalizing that brand as something new and so on. Like, we're working on something new right now, and I think that's great. But I think it's when your core fundamental message and changes like completely, and then it confuses in the name of just chasing money.
Yeah.
Because then again, you're just going to make that money quick. But then what are you going to do in 5 years? What are you going to do in 10 years? Eventually, people are going to have you down. And there is like a subsection of the education space that is just known for, they've just got a different, every time you look at some of the, even just like the biggest people in the space, they just, every time you look at them, they're onto something else. They're teaching something completely different. Like it's not the same as what they were doing previously. And like you said, there's reputational damage because those people as well that jump from offer to offer don't usually care about the ethics of delivering results. They just create a product, and if it works, it works. It's like a split test for them, you know? So I think it's a dangerous path. I think if you can learn to solve multiple problems with one core industry, I think that's the key, really.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but it's it's a lot harder to actually stick to something than it seems, right? Because you see a lot of people who are pushing. I don't know, you probably know him, Wes Watson. Like that guy gets out of jail, starts, I think just documenting his journey, starts whatever coaching business he has, and is now doing like 2-3 million a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like.
Have you? No, I've never heard of him.
You've never heard of him? His name is Wes Watson, right? So goes to jail, I think, for like 8-10 years.
Right.
Gets out, starts documenting, and he's literally he's just literally insulting everyone who on YouTube, saying, "Hey, don't be a bitch or don't be a little bitch. You got to be
Is it the
hard."
mindset course?
Yeah, it's like a mindset guy, right?
Yeah. Cool.
And then, but for me, it's like I don't understand how a guy like that is making 2 to 4 million a month just to tell people that, hey, get harder in life. It's an interesting thing, right?
It's those core audience. It's those core desires that I think there's like a section of like men that will just buy anything. Like there's a section of very insecure men in the world who will buy anything that they believe will help them become stronger. Yeah. And this actually, I think saying insecure men is that's not right. I think there's a lot of men that don't have the self-confidence that they should have yet. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with insecurity. I've been in very insecure places in my life, like before having the business. So I think those people do serve purpose, like in helping those guys like gain that strength. So I can definitely see it, and I see the appeal of it. But it's just those core audiences. You feed into that, like a lack of masculinity and gaining masculinity. You feed into like sex, or you just feed into money. Like you're always going to be able to pull in a lot of customers. And that's the same reason why every fitness online coach, like every fitness program, is just like, it's millions. Like they make such ridiculous revenue because again, it feeds into that. It's like, I look shit, I'm fat, I'm skinny, I want to get big, I want to look like them, I want to have that status. And then when you
sell to that, you always, it's like, you don't even have to give an ROI. It's like, hey, you need it.
Yeah, it's cash. Yeah, I'm like, why the fuck am I in that niche? I just need to be more jacked first.
We need
switch industries.
Yeah, we need to switch industries. One other topic that I'd love to cover is kind of like this, and I was actually talking with my CEO last night about, B2C versus B2B, right? You were in both technically with your agency and then also the education company. How kind of like describe both.
Yeah. Pros
and cons and kind of like what is your perspective right now since you've scaled both companies really well. What's your perspective?
It's completely. They're completely different spaces. I feel sorry for anyone who's ever just started in B2B in education and then decided to go into B2C because it's like getting into the bullpen. Like it's a crazy space B2C, and I feel like I've got a B2B offer in the education. It's like a high end mastermind. We have the low ticket. I say low ticket. We've got the B2C. We've got the high end mastermind, which is agency owners at 100K a month plus, and then we're building out the mid tier at the minute. And for me, it's like, this is just a walk in the park. Like it's so easy working with these guys, but when you're working with B2C, the challenge is not getting people, so we teach them sales, services, hiring, all of that, right? And that's all the stuff that they think they want. And in B2C, in very many cases, you sell them what they want and then give them what they need.
Yeah.
The majority of the work, and I was telling you yesterday, we have one-to-one coaches working with people every single week, one-to-one for 90 days, just to hold them accountable to actually doing their work. Because it's so hard to get someone to actually, number one, anyone can commit to say, yes, I'm going to do this new thing. I'm going to start an agency. I'm going to get this new job. I'm going to start a new career. But then actually being consistent with it over a period of time after realizing it's going to be difficult it's so hard to get people to do that. Yeah. And so in B2C, like you are constantly getting people through mindset shifts and you are helping people just stay accountable. And like on one hand, that's really difficult, but actually that's why I love it. It's very, very, very fulfilling when you get someone come in who against all odds and they have a shit background and like they don't speak to their parents or like, and they don't have good supportive friends and they come into a community, they meet people that are like them and they get held accountable. And like, actually our coaches are like therapists in some cases, like literally. And then sometimes we have the lines are blurred and we're like, actually, this isn't something that we should be dealing with right now. But when you have those students and like the morale from the whole team, when they get to see those like case studies as well. So like we do every morning, we do like a quick win thing and all the CSMs will go around and they'll share their wins for the week. And there's always some great story from like someone that's like against all odds doing really well. So from a fulfillment standpoint, it's incredible. But if your goal is, I just want to get into business to make some money. I just want an easy route and I want a path of least resistance. Don't even entertain B2C. B2C is a difficult space from that perspective. Yeah. Working in the agency, like it's no different working in the agency with e-com brands that we work with to working with the large scale kind of agencies that we work with in the mastermind. I think that initially in the early stages, when you first start an agency, it's actually really quite close to B2C because you work with local brick and mortar companies. Many of those businesses are like on step 1 or 2. Yeah. They're not really, especially like, let's say home improvements. Yeah. You work with like a kitchen and bathroom fitter or you work with like a landscaper. Yeah. Like some of those have like 1 or 2 team members. They're barely scraping into actually owning a real business. And so they're still in this like consumer mindset. They're still so emotional and so like tied into everything. Yeah. Whereas like now we work with large e-com, we just signed up a brand doing like 30 mil a year. Wow. And like when you're working with a business like that, their mindset is just completely different. They understand that things don't go to plan. You don't have to preface that, okay, look, just so you know, it's going to take 3 months for us to get to a point where we're going to be scalable here, etc. Yeah. Like they have already been through it 1,000 times. They've already built that resilience, coming full circle that I said about the cold calls. They've already gone through that a whole bunch of times. Yeah. So I think most agency owners, when they start off unknowingly, are actually in the B2C market. And then you get to earn the privilege to work with B2B later on.
I think one of the things is logically, if you think, and this is why I'm like, I personally, because I see a lot of my clients built a great case study and their mindset is like, oh, let me go into info or let me go into consulting, let me go into coaching. But I don't think they realize how hard it actually is to scale. You can sell people, but actually fulfill and actually get people the value and make them be like, oh, actually got value. It's so hard. And I'm seeing this trend of people who are into really, scale, millions and millions of dollars per year within B2B and then switch to B2C. And then they do like 9 months and they're like, hey, I'm going back to B2B. Yeah. Because they realize that, like, holy shit, yes, you can give people the desire and position it well and people will buy emotionally. But these are some of the hardest customers and clients to serve.
Yeah. It can break your business as well.
It's insane. Yeah, it's so risky.
Because you can get such bad, it's so easy to piss off the B2C market. Like consumers are so emotional. And I think people are so drawn to it because it's obviously broad. Yeah. Like, it's like, oh, now I'm just working with this 200,000 person lead pool, but I could be working with everyone. And it's like, that sounds great. But like, they're the people that are going to leave you reviews. They're the people they're going to have problems. They're the people that are really hard to please because, again, you're selling them what they want and giving them what they need. They don't even know what they need yet. They don't even understand business yet. A business owner can look at an established agency, can look at his agency and be like, well, our client acquisition is shit. We're not booking enough meetings right now. They can be very rational about it. Yeah. A consumer is like, well, I just want to be rich. So I need to have that email strategy. Yeah. But I'm like, well, no, you don't, because you don't even know how to run ads yet. And you do all these things and so on. And so you can give them what they actually need and they'll still be pissed off with you because they thought it was something else because they're not thinking rationally with it. Yeah. And I think, I'm very fortunate that I've never gone into that. I've never had bad reviews. Our Trustpilot is squeaky clean. And just that's because we do the coaching and we over deliver. And the stuff we do for the price that people pay is like what people do for 10 times the ticket price, you know? And so I do that for that reason, you know, because you have to go the extra mile. But if you're coming from B2B and you deliver what you can, because you can deliver just a tiny segment into B2B and it delivers ultimate value.
Yeah.
But because the B2C market don't see it like that, if you come into that space, it can kill your business like completely. If you make one wrong mistake and don't deliver.
I've started like offers that go a little bit to a broader market, but every time I'm like, no way. Because it's not that I don't want to have an impact, and it's like, you know, my life has changed, and I've seen what, you know, gaining knowledge and, you know, acquiring insights can do for someone's life and someone's environment. But I'm like, ain't no way am I going to charge you for it, because then you're just I'm going to show you, like, I'm going to tell you, hey, you got to watch this 10-hour thing, and you're going to be like, oh, but no, you promised that I was going to make 10K a month or 100K a month in 6 months. I didn't say I had to watch this. I'm like, okay, well, then I won't this is free. You watch my YouTube video. If you don't, it's your problem. But it's so hard to please them, because I think they're entitled. They're entitled to, like, hey, I paid you money, therefore I deserve the outcome. But it's like, no, the price was just the entry fee. Like, it doesn't mean shit.
I think the world is entitled broadly. I think like most people jumping into online business are very entitled to success. But like, can you really blame them? Like, if you think about like what it's like right now, and like, I don't want to say like things, I mean, actually things have changed a lot since I started, and probably when you started, like in like 5 or 6 short years. Like the online make money space right now there is so much content. Like there's such a crazy amount of content. And so many people they're all trying to one up each other. It's like this battle of egos. Like, I've got a Lambo, well, I've got a Rolls Royce, well, I've got a Bugatti, and I make this much a month, I make this much, or I make this much revenue, I have this much cash collected. Like, everyone's just like, just dick measuring constantly in this industry. And so because of that, there's all these people, these consumers that are looking at it and like, well, he's just 25 years old. He's just like me. He lives around the corner. He does this. Oh, he's got the same backstory as me. And there's just so many things to relate to that they think it's so reachable for them. They think it's going to be so easy. Like the key and the secret really to selling to B2C is like, you watch any of my content and I'm like, this is going to be fucking hard. This is going to be the most difficult thing you've ever done. This is going to be way more difficult than you've ever done in a 9 to 5 job. You're going to do shit that you don't want to be doing. You're going to sacrifice your weekends. You're going to sacrifice your friendship. You're going to sacrifice family. You're going to sacrifice everything for this. I say it how it is all the time in every piece of content. I never sugarcoat it. I don't do any large, bold claims about making certain amounts of money or signing a crazy amount of clients. Everything I say is very realistic. And because of that, we then attract the right people. They jump in and they already have the right expectation. The first video people watching our program is going through this path that they're going to take and telling them they're going to eat shit for a very long time and it's going to be really difficult. And if people don't like it at that point, and we still have a very small refund percentage because the content they've watched beforehand feeds them into that. But most content, like 95% of the content, is the antichrist of that. It's because most people think, well, if I want to sell people into my program, then I need to make it look as easy as possible. I need to make it look like the path is as easy, or as the path there's the least resistance. But actually, that goes against getting the best customers in. If you tell them it's going to be difficult and you make it very clear to them, I think that is the key really to getting good customers and making good revenue going into the next year and going on forward. I think the over promising and I think people are going to get wise to it. So you can't blame consumers for being entitled when everyone's ramming it down their throat how easy it is.
It's so easy. I mean, sometimes I'm like, it's almost like the market has become, I don't know how to say it, but it's like, if they've been almost like numb, it's like, if you're not making $1 million a month, you're nothing. And it's like, I'm like, guys, do you guys know how hard it is? And how much stress you have to deal with every day to actually even be able to make even $100,000 a month?
Or how good your life can be on 10K after tax. You know, like everyone's got these wild dreams of like the life they want to live. And it's like, have you actually ever tried to live the life that you want to live with like 1/10 of the money that you think you want to make?
It's crazy. And for me, I'm like, hey, I don't know how it's going to go, but that's why for me, I'm like trying to figure out a way to just work with the least amount of people. Still push out content, because I do like actually teaching or educating or creating different breakdowns, but because I'm curious about business, I'm curious about success. So, but like it takes a toll on it takes a big team. It takes a big empire to actually do education the right way.
But you're going down a really interesting path. You said to me yesterday, and you don't have to speak about it if you don't want to, but you said you're going down the route of revenue sharing with companies.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting model. We started doing it recently in the agency. I think it's a really interesting model, not just in education, but in agencies especially. I really like that. And I don't want to use the term growth partner because I now think that's a shiny thing as well. And everyone's like overusing it. Like, oh, I'm a growth partner, I'm not an agency. No, you're all the fucking same. You're just literally saying it's whatever you tell your ego, right? But I like that model of revenue sharing. I think it makes a lot of sense when you know what you're doing. I think if you know what you're doing and you know you can bring intrinsic value to a company, I think that is the ultimate irresistible offer at the moment. It's like, it's not like, and I think if you can do like that offer as well without having to then promise like and guarantee a specific result, because I think guarantees have their place and I think that's important. But I think if you can move to a place where the offer works so well in itself and you've got all the case studies that act as the guarantee and you do like a percentage, I think that's awesome. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I can talk a little bit about how I ended up here. So, I mean, for sure, there's people kind of like pushing the growth partner thing, but I don't actually, for me, I don't necessarily consider myself a growth partner. I guess kind of, because for me, what I realized is most people aren't qualified to be growth partners, right?
No.
Like it takes, because most people like who want to be growth consultant or growth partners, it's just them who are smart. But if I go into a company, and let's say I want to be a growth partner to you, but I don't have a team, well, I'm going to be the one making decisions, but I don't actually bring enough leverage. It's just decisions and work, but I only have 8 hours, 10 hours of work a day. And I got to make decisions on you. So I can only work with like maybe 3-4 clients at a time max. And then I'm maxed out. Right. But a lot of people are being pushed into this thing from the lens of like, oh, it's just rev share. But no one is going to give you 20% of their business for one single human who doesn't even have capital, who doesn't have other employees and teams who are actually even better. Yeah. So people are being sold this growth partner thing as if it's easy. But I'm like, I would never give someone 15% of a lot of money because they're a growth partner and they know how to run ads. Yeah. What the fuck? Bro, what? That's like $5,000 a month. I can find anyone to run ads for me. So that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to tell people is, hey, go build, or at least how we've been doing it is, go find a set of, maybe you're also the talent, but go find other people who are really experts in solving different problems, okay? And then build a team of like 5 superstars, and then build like a protocol or an infrastructure, right? And then go find businesses who have inefficiencies in their companies, build that thing, and then in exchange for building it, because they can't pay you enough, because that thing is going to deliver multiple returns on what they pay you, because it's so valuable and because you own talent that they can't acquire necessarily or go pay for, then you deserve to get paid on the upside of that thing. So we're getting a lot of, or at least for us, what we're doing is we're building things in companies, but in exchange of building it, we're saying, hey, for the next 6 months, 12 months, we want 15% of everything that you bring above your baseline, which is an impact from what we build. Nice. So it's not just, hey, I'm going to be a partner and I promise you a potential growth. It's like, no, I'm actually going to build something that is tangible. Yeah. It's not just, I'm going to consult you. No, fuck the advice. Actually, we're going to do work. So therefore, the pitch is a lot easier and it gives people, it's like undeniable value. Yeah. Because sometimes it's hard to, so, I'm trying to get a sales, my team sales training because I don't really have a sales leader. And I got pitched $75K, right? But it's like, okay, but what's the tangible? I don't know. I can't see it, right? So it's like, but if the guy is like, hey, I'm going to come in, I'm going to build your sales team, I'm going to build this sales playbook, and then I'm going to leave something behind that your team can then scale for the next 3 years and you never have to rebuild it, then 75K becomes, oh, I'm buying 75K of this guy's 5-10 years of experience. Yeah. But I'm also buying an asset that can be used for my team, but then I can take and go build and release in other companies. Yeah. So you see, so now because when it's just advice, it's so hard, right? But then we're really trying to go into like this hard asset consulting model where it's like, it's not just value. You're building an intrinsic system. You're building something. And I like that. I was listening to this breakdown from McKinsey, right? So like 10 years ago, they were doing maybe like 80% of their revenue were mainly advice. So they would kind of like go into the Fortune 500 companies, and then they'd be like, hey, oh, you guys have a management problem. Oh, you guys have a tracking problem for your finance. Oh, we're going to send in our consultants. It's going to be $4 million a year. But it was pure advice. But now over the last 6 years, what they've done is they're like, hey, this shit, even if people are paying us $1 million a month to consult them, there's no recurring revenue, right? Because then it's project basis, like selling programs. So what they did is like, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. We're still going to give you advice, but we're going to leave a piece of software to solve the problem on a recurring basis. And then you guys are going to pay for this thing even after we leave. So now, out of the $10 billion in revenue they do every year, 70% is recurring on a consulting business. So I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, like how can you replicate that model for service businesses, right? Because at the end, you can't sell your time and get rich.
No, we do. I mean, we do the same thing with e-commerce clients.
Yeah.
We noticed that after about 6 months, clients will churn because they want to like run things in house. So we now have a package where we help them facilitate.
Yeah.
We help them find a media buyer, build them, train them, and then after that, there's like a 6 month or like sometimes like 3 months, like a incubation period where we then coach them through that. So it's a similar kind of build and release, and there's a bunch of financial kind of trackers and ad trackers that you don't get obviously just by using Facebook and all of that stuff that they can use. Now, what we don't do is charge an ongoing service fee, which is an interesting take and something that we probably should do. But I definitely think I think as a model, that's such a great model, but it's not even like beginner to intermediate. It's like intermediate to like expert.
Yeah,
it's
you've
like,
got to be good.
You've got to be good. So, I mean, that means you get to work with the best talent out there.
Yeah.
But it does mean that there are a lot of people in the industry who are in the beginner space listening to this thinking, oh, that'll be great. Like 90% of people watching this, this is not going to be suitable for them, like at all. You have to learn that and get really good at it. But I think what I want to know from your end, because obviously you've got these like incredible guys here that are working with you as well, that are delivering massive value to you, but also have their own businesses and so on. How do you incentivize someone? Let's say, because it's very hard to find that good talent. Like at a certain point, it is so hard. Like when you get an A player and you get someone in, you're like, oh, it's just the best. Like it's like I get happier now from finding a new A player in the team than I do hitting a new 100K a month milestone. Like stacking an extra 100K. I'm like, I'm now like, I remember the last person I found, Ed, I literally called up like 5 team members. Like, wow. I fucking found one. Like I've got one. Like he's good. Like he's really good. Like how good is he? But it's so hard to find those people and incentivize. Now I took him on full time, and that was great. And he was one of those people, because you with A-star talent, you get like obviously the people that they're really skilled, but they don't even know how valuable they are yet. And when you get them, that was one of them. And I was like, that's great, but they're so rare. Most people have already got the talent and they already know the value. So how do you incentivize those people?
So for me, the way that I'm looking at it is the following. I think in order for you to get superstars, you need to create a bigger vision for them to get stupid wealthy within the thing, right? So for me, what I've been thinking about is, as we're getting a lot of these partners, right? We're getting rev share for sure, but that's not it's not a big enough ship for every talent to be making millions and millions of dollars, right? So what I'm thinking of doing is, every single leader then has his own kind of like business under thing, right? They almost like create now a business unit, right? So let's say as an operator, my COO, she has her own fulfillment team. So what then happens is, yes, we're consulting and building these systems for partners, but eventually they'll need more things. So what happens is, we're like, hey guys, okay, you need the next thing. Oh, we actually have a team to do it for you. So then now you have these business units and these departments that, yes, our clients, when they go through that first run of service, they get a specific protocol, but then they need more problems solved over time. And then these departments can solve it for them. And then every leader of this, they're like, hey, every single thing we sell and fulfill on the next run, well, you get a share of that. So you never have to do marketing. You never have to do sales. I'll build us an amazing customer and clientele base, so much so that the sales department can now become a sales operations. The marketing can become its own marketing operations that's making $1 million, $5 million a year. And now you have these departments that are clearing $5 million, $5 million, $5 million, because you built a partnership thing with a bunch of customers. But so there's also another layer. A lot of the partners we partner with are also people who offer growth. So what ends up meaning is that not only are we valuable to them, but then we can become valuable to their clients. So it's like value to them, but value to their clients. So let's say if they're dealing with a business that maybe wants a VSL funnel, right? But eventually, if that business gets at scale, they might need a low ticket, a self-liquidating offer. So then this growth team may not necessarily have that infrastructure to be able to fill on that new funnel, but our team can. So then we can be like, hey, does your clients need a new sales team? Do they need more appointment setters? Do they need more systems? Then they can send it back to our department, and then our partners can leverage our fulfillment teams to go and serve them. So then it's like, so it's literally, yes, we're partners, but we also have agencies in each single.
So would it be correct to presume that you get the initial customer in, you are essentially taking as a business the majority slice, and everyone else gets a smaller cut.
Exactly.
And then it's kind of almost the reverse in the upsells. Is that? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, exactly. That's cool.
But it depends. It's because the way that for sure, eventually I'm still scaling this up. So we haven't necessarily built up the whole leadership.
Stress testing.
But eventually I can give them a piece of the main business, so that it's not just about the cash flow, but it's also about equity in the whole portfolio, in the whole thing.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So I do think that there's no way you can get away from service. It's the best. It's almost like service is always going to be needed. You're saving people time, right? Yeah. So it's a great thing to have, although you may want leverage, but maybe head with education. Because I know other people also are doing it more like the education side, where they might have different education for different things.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about multiple education products teaching all different things. I think it's so easy to teach a lot with education. I think done for you and done with you, definitely, because it's so laborious and time consuming, and there's so many moving parts. But I don't want to have 5 different programs, one for mindset, one for client acquisition, one for that's messy, man. It's so easy for me to combine that in one and then upsell the implementation. Yeah. Because that is very time consuming, whatever way you look at it. And there's so many variables.
That's why you got to be picky with who you actually give your time to, But no, love it. Awesome. So maybe we can wrap up.
What time are we on? 1 hour.
1 hour?
Cool.
Sick. Awesome.
Right,
love it. Cape Town, second time here. It's also my second time here.
Yeah.
Are you coming back next year?
I am, yeah. I actually viewed a place to buy. I'm going to look at a couple of places also. Nice. I really feel like the real estate market here is a really good buy. And I don't know a lot about real estate, so maybe someone can educate me on this. But I just got a gut feeling. When I came here last year, there were a few nomads and agency guys. This year it feels like there's loads more, and I think it's going to get more and more. If you're from, and it's different for you, with time. I think, what's the time zone difference for you?
7 hours.
So it's hard, right? So, but from the UK, you're 2 hours, but in the right way. So I start work here at 8 or 9 a.m. and then I've got a couple of hours before the team even message me on Slack. So you've got these 2 golden hours without distraction, and so it's perfect. And then obviously the same thing. You've got the weather thing. The sun sets so early in Canada and in the UK, and then the sun rises so late as well. So that's a big problem. You unlock an extra half a day, and I just cannot not see this place become more and more the hub. Yeah. So I just think from a real estate, you can get a penthouse apartment in this city for 400K, and it's the kind of place that if it was in London, and London's shit, it would be 1.8 mil or something like that. Crazy apartments, amazing, with rooftop terraces.
I haven't seen the places in near the city, but I can see the, because even, the homes here are kind of expensive, right?
Camps Bay is expensive.
Yeah, here it's expensive. So, and I can tell that, I'm probably going to come back too, right? And I can tell that this is, I think with more of us online, kind of showing up here, more people then want to come here.
Yeah,
I can definitely see a trend where then this place goes, the supply goes dry, and there's just so much demand. So
I
if
just
you
hope
buy
it doesn't.
A property here, you're definitely.
It's going to make money. I just hope it doesn't turn into the next Bali, and then prices start increasing. Because there's something about it doesn't even matter how much money you've got. when you live in somewhere that like everything's so cheap,
Yeah.
it feels good. Like it does feel good. Like I don't know what that is. It's just like when you go out for dinner and it's like 3 courses for £20. It's like this is nice. Like
it's the best thing. It's the best thing.
Yeah.
No, I love it here. I love it here. The weather, the sunsets.
It's amazing.
For me, it's been a legendary place. I can't describe how the feeling, but for me, it's not necessarily that I like necessarily going out or I like to go up mountains. I haven't really been on any mountain yet.
Shame.
But I just like sitting here and just watching the sunset.
The sunsets are the absolute best, man.
I don't know.
Pink skies every night.
It's insane. It's undescribable. For those, if you guys ever want to visit some place, this is the right place to be. But yeah. So what are your goals for the next 12 months for this year, 2024?
Goals for this month, this year.
This year.
Break into and cause a disruption in the B2B space a little bit. Yeah. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to getting into a new challenge. Like I've been doing the same thing for a long time now and just optimizing on that. Really scaling the team out. We're scaling some great teams at the minute, some cool departments. We're building a whole educational team and educational design team to actually help me come away from creating all the education myself. And world-class people just going down a much more professional route with the education business, like making sure everything is just like I'll send you the new program when we release it. It's really it's amazing. There'll be some resources in there that you can steal. Like we're building it in a very unique style. So there's that. Just continuing to build the team, the agency in itself. We're kind of just coasting the revenue and building some brands. I would really like to have a couple of large scale e-com brands. I quite enjoy product and design and so on. I think it would be quite nice to do that. I would like to maybe do like a limited drop or limited supply clothing brand, like something the ultimate scarcity brands. That would be cool. We've got a couple of those signed to the agency and they just do crazy figures. But also it's just a very creative project to be in. So yeah, and also just personally, I'm focusing big time on health this year. Like when I come to Cape Town, I've started working out 6 days a week, and I was doing 3 days a week at home, but him just 3 days, but 6 days, but with variety. Like doing some calisthenics. I've got a couple of persons doing climbing and bouldering and being outside a lot more. So that's my kind of personal. What about you, man?
For me, I want to find talent, guys. If you guys are smart, I love to hire you guys. The second thing is. I want to, I think I've said it on my Instagram, but I want to get in like a relationship.
Yeah,
I want to settle down. I feel like it's too draining to be.
Nice. The grass is always greener, bro. I'm in a relationship and it's amazing, but it's like all the things that you think that you're missing, you do the thing, and you know what I mean. You miss, then you can no longer work on weekends. The eyes come.
So
the shit.
So it's like that would be an investment move, to be honest. I want to just settle down and not necessarily be. Also, like when you come to places like here, it's like, yeah, for sure you can meet women and this and that, but it's not necessarily like you're not. I don't want to meet a different girl and have to have the same conversation. Try to ask them what do you like. Okay, what do you want to do? What wine do you drink?
Yeah.
It's
the same shit.
It's still redundant. It's like, man, it's not leveraged enough. So I'm like, it's too inefficient for me. So maybe the boys who are out there in the streets can still do that. But that, and then I want to be more present, man. I think us as entrepreneurs, we're always chasing something, but I want to get out of the mindset and I've tried to be more actively, like, conscious about this decision to create because I want to create, not to create because I want to hit a new number, a new figure, and make the money represent, like almost like I don't want to have the success represent who I am. I just want the success to be part of. It's almost like I want to be someone who creates success, not necessarily the success. I don't want people to look at me and be like, oh, he has money or this. No, it's just something I do.
It's just an extension of yourself.
It's just an extension. It's not. So I think being more creative and being more cool about business and about how you go about it, not necessarily in an aggressive way where I'm like, hey, I have to hit this number. Hey guys, what the fuck are we not doing this?
Yeah.
To more of like, hey guys, what if we built this?
Nice.
And
I like it.
Let the market decide. Let build amazing things. If it's like creating music or creating a movie, you're not really forcing it. You're trying to create the most beautiful thing.
It's a natural flow.
Yeah. So trying to get into more of that mindset, I do definitely think it's hard because as a business, you have people you have to pay for, you provide for families.
Yeah.
So you can't also go too crazy on the woo, I want to do what I want type. So you have to
Yeah.
still be pretty methodical. But yeah, those few things, just every day try to do what I like.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
But no, hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast.
Cool.
Thank
Pleasure,
you so
bro.
much. It was great, and I think we're probably going to build something together. Would love to do something together, build something, work together on something. I think
sure,
it'll be
man.
pretty sick.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Love it. Thanks,
Nice.
guys.
Cheers, guys.